The story begins on a rainy night. A man is dressed in a plastic suit and gloves, not to keep dry, but to avoid leaving any evidence. Another man soon appears, walking with an umbrella and carrying luggage. The first man, a hitman, sneaks up and stabs him multiple times, then puts his body in the car trunk. He removes his suit, checks his watch, and drives away just as another man arrives to pick up the dead man's luggage. The next morning, a young man named John is thinking about ending his life. He's a failed actor with no money and feels unloved. Just as he's about to go through with it, his landlord knocks on his door offering noodles. John tries to ignore her but can't resist the food. When he opens the door, she scolds him for not paying rent and demands he pay by tomorrow. She also tells him he needs a bath because he smells bad. After she leaves, John decides he might as well clean himself first. John goes to a public sauna where he meets a man named Hyung Wak who is washing blood off his watch and clothes. John sees Hyung's clean, expensive watch and assumes he must be wealthy. As they're both showering, John drops his soap and Hyung slips on it, hitting his head and passing out. Hyung's locker key slides over to John's foot. Instead of returning it, John switches it with his own key. When Hyung is taken to the hospital, John goes to the locker room, opens Hyung's locker and finds clothes and money. He puts on Hyung's suit, pays his overdue rent, and repays everyone he owes. Sitting in Hyung's fancy car, John feels like he's dreaming. But he realizes this isn't the right way to change his life since none of it really belongs to him. So he decides to go to the hospital and return everything. At the hospital, John hears Hyung saying his own name. The doctors have told Hyung that this is his name, as Hyung has lost his memory. John feels awkward and leaves. When Hyung is discharged, he realizes he has no money to pay his bill. A female paramedic, Lena, takes pity on him and decides to cover it. Although Hyung has no idea who he is or what he does for a living, he promises to pay her back. Lena gives him a ride and as they talk, Hyung realizes he doesn't know his age. Looking at his papers, he finds he's supposedly 32, which surprises Lena, as he appears a bit older. Meanwhile, John finds Hyung's apartment and enters the luxurious space. He's unaccustomed to such opulence, having been poor his whole life. The apartment is even bigger than he'd imagined. And as he explores, he finds various uniforms belonging to Hyung, including military and police uniforms. At the same time, Lena takes Hyung to John's actual apartment, which is a chaotic mess. Hyung can't believe he could live in such a state. Lena gets a call about an accident and has to leave. Though Hyung doesn't want her to leave before he can pay her back, she says they can meet up later. Back at the luxurious apartment, John turns on the TV only to be shocked. Instead of a regular broadcast, he's watching a live feed of his neighbor Unju doing yoga. Meanwhile, Hyung tries to learn more about himself by talking to John's neighbors in the poorer neighborhood. He knocks on doors asking questions about himself, but most ignore him. Assuming he's a salesman, he eventually encounters an angry man in the hallway who attacks him. Hyung instinctively defends himself, surprised at his own reflexes and strength, wondering how he could know such skills. Later, Lena decides to check on Hyung and finds him choking on the ground, struggling to smoke a cigarette. Lena wonders if he's really a smoker, and Hyung replies that he assumed so since he found so many cigarettes in the apartment. While spending time with him, Lena notices that Hyung is skilled with knives, so she takes him to her aunt's restaurant. Though her aunt is reluctant to hire him, Lena persuades her to do so as a favor. The aunt agrees but tells Hyung he needs to adjust his way of speaking and start smiling more. Otherwise, he might scare off the customers. In Hyung's real apartment, John continues inspecting the place and finds even more cash, along with some expensive wine. He also stumbles upon a large collection of weapons, fake IDs, and passports, as well as a board with clues about Unju. Hearing police radio chatter from Hyung's apartment, John assumes Hyung is a cop, and that Unju is probably in a witness protection program with Hyung as her protector. John tries to find Unju by knocking on various apartment doors, but when he has no luck, he returns to his own apartment. When he turns on the TV, he sees Unju rehearsing something, pretending to hit herself and fall to the ground. Realizing the noise is coming from upstairs, he deduces that's where she lives. John knocks on her door and introduces himself as her neighbor, suggesting they should greet each other when they meet. However, Unju kindly closes the door, wanting to get rid of him. Meanwhile, Hyung performs well at the restaurant, impressing everyone with his cooking skills and attracting new customers. Later, Lena lets him know he'll be paid on the 25th of each month. Hyung checks the calendar on the wall, and Lena mentions that it's showing the previous month. After she leaves, Hyung turns the page and realizes he has somewhere to be tomorrow. When he arrives, he sees a man organizing people and loading them into a van. Hyung asks where they're going, and the man explains they're heading to work, as actors on a film set. Since Hyung has unintentionally taken John's place, he is now expected to act. However, he makes several mistakes on set and is soon dismissed. Elsewhere, John is following Unju to ensure her safety. When Unju visits her mother in the hospital and mentions she's going on a trip, she spots something that frightens her and quickly turns to leave. John sees her being followed by a man he remembers from Hyung's board and decides to intervene, taking Unju to hide in the parking lot. Pretending not to know the man is a threat, John says he thought he was just a stalker from the film set. Back at the set, Hyung gets paid and decides to check out the information the producer has on him. He finds a name listed as his father's and visits the man at his barber shop. However, when he arrives, the barber is talking to a customer about the real John. Misinterpreting their conversation, Hyung believes they're talking negatively about him and leaves, feeling disappointed. Later, he tells Lena that he found out he was trying to become an actor before the accident, and that he intends to take it seriously, hoping to become a famous star. Meanwhile, Unju packs her bags and waits by the roadside, but no one arrives. She returns to her apartment wondering if she got the date wrong and is supposed to wait until next Thursday. The following day, Hyung embarks on intense acting training, and soon returns to the film set for another chance. This time, he's supposed to play the bodyguard of the main character, but he can't resist getting involved in the action. When the director cuts the scene, he approaches Hyung and asks for his name. Though Hyung apologizes, thinking he's ruined the scene, the director actually likes his fighting skills and decides to keep him in the scene. The next Thursday, Unju is waiting on the roadside again, but once again her contact doesn't show. Meanwhile, on set, Hyung struggles to remember his lines. When the cameras start rolling, he only manages to speak 2 words of his line, but the director loves the impact of his delivery, and has him participate in an action scene. Hyung performs well, and the episode of the series soon airs on TV. When customers at the restaurant see him, they ask for photos, delighted to meet him in person. As the days pass, John gradually earns Unju's trust, and the two start to build a bond, realizing they might even have feelings for each other. Hyung, meanwhile, returns to the set for the next episode's filming, but the lead actor has called the producer to request changes that favor his own character. When the episode airs, customers watch it in the restaurant and wonder why the story is unfolding in such a strange way. That night, one of the phones in Hyung's real apartment rings, and Jae-sun decides to pick up. The voice on the phone seems surprised and asks why he answered, as they had agreed to communicate only through voice messages. Regardless, the man on the phone tells him they need to meet. Jae-sun, wearing sunglasses and a mask, attends a meeting with a few men who are cautious, believing him to be a notorious assassin. They inform him that he was supposed to complete a kill on the 25th of the previous month, and that the deadline is overdue. They urge him to complete his mission quickly, because if Unju goes to the prosecutor, things will become more complicated. Meanwhile, a powerful man listens to their conversation and, after Jae-sun leaves, orders one of his men to follow him to find Unju. Jae-sun returns home, now angry, having realized that Hyung is actually a hitman, not a cop. On the film set, Hyung is acting in the next episode, and the star actor, jealous of him, hits him on the head for real. Hyung gets up, angry, but still asks if the take was okay. A couple of nights later, Jae-sun follows him, but Hyung traps him and stops him. Even so, he asks Jae-sun if he's a fan and gives him an autograph. Hyung is struggling a bit in his career because he's uncomfortable with love scenes. To help, he asks Lena to kiss him and act with him. Lena suggests he recall a moment when he felt love, and Hyung describes a time about a month ago when he returned to the restaurant after his first scenes, and Lena smiled at him, expressing her concern for him. After sharing a kiss, Hyung gains a better understanding of his emotions and is able to perform the love scene well. On Thursday, Unju is out on the street again, and this time Jae-sun approaches her, confessing that he's a cop assigned to protect her but has genuinely fallen in love with her. He says he wants them to be together. A wealthy businessman sees pictures of them and orders his men to find and kill them both. The next day, Hyung has a day off and invites Lena and her family for a picnic. They have a wonderful day, and at one point Hyung gazes at the sky, saying he enjoys this life. However, as they drive back in the pouring rain, a particular song on the radio triggers memories of his past. He remembers that he's an assassin, with flashes of his past playing out in his mind. Hyung goes to see Unju, but Jae-sun believes he's there to kill her and tries to stop him. Hyung overpowers him easily but explains that he isn't a true killer, rather he helps both parties involved. When someone hires him to kill, he contacts the target, informs them about the contract, and offers to help them fake their death and start a new life. All his victims agree because their only alternative is death. He explains that he did the same with Unju. Someone hired him to kill her because she has a flash drive that a powerful businessman wants. Hyung urges Unju to leave the country, but she refuses unless Jae-sun goes with her since he's also in danger. Though Jae-sun initially claims his life doesn't matter, Hyung counters, saying his barber father might disagree. After convincing Jae-sun that his life is valuable, Hyung proposes that the three of them should die together and take it from there. To make this work, they must give the performance of their lives. Otherwise, other killers will come after them without a trace. Hyung has a final talk with Lena, telling her his memories are back and he's leaving for her safety. He says he's not the man she thinks he is. Lena is upset and calls him irresponsible, saying she doesn't care about his past. As they part, Lena becomes curious and follows him in an ambulance. Hyung reaches a warehouse for the final showdown. Jae-sun arrives with Unju, pretending to have gained Unju's trust just to betray her. He fakes an attack on her and throws a flash drive to the businessmen who have gathered. As one bends to pick it up, Hyung appears, and the men recognize him as a hired assassin. All the messages they sent to other killers to target Unju and Jae-sun were actually received by Hyung. Jae-sun and Hyung put on a staged fight, standing on marked spots while Unju holds a controller. Things take a twist when Lena arrives unexpectedly. Hyung tries to push her away for her safety, but she refuses to leave him. In the struggle, she accidentally knocks Hyung's fake knife out of his hand. Hyung tells Jae-sun to grab the fake knife and pretend to attack him. Jae-sun does this, and Hyung shields Lena, taking the staged hit himself. He nods to Unju, who presses a button that releases a container over them. As the gang approaches, Hyung signals Jae-sun, who pours fake blood from under the container, tricking the gang into thinking they're all dead. Once the gang leaves, Hyung, Unju and Jae-sun emerge from the container, and Unju and Jae-sun share their first kiss. Hyung then joins Lena in her ambulance, telling her he has remembered his real age, 45. Lena takes him to a film set and he participates in a scene. The director, hurrying to finish, films a love scene. Hyung speaks lines that seem directed at his co-actor but are really meant for Lena, saying he should leave but can't because he loves her. He promises to stay, forget his past, and live as the man she knows. In the end, everything comes together. Jae-sun achieves his dream of becoming an actor and even acts in scenes with Hyung. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.